With the rain, I've been keeping the blinds up. Look at this gorgeous view. Wow. Mike, do you live in some sort of penthouse? Actually too weird for my neighbors. I shouldn't do it. But that dog crate down there, that dog crate is locked and has no blanket in it. But this dog, who looks like stray or neglected, like a big boxer type dog, he walks around and sees it, and he always sniffs at the door, like checks if it's open, and he's always disappointed. And I want to climb that fence or go around and open that door and put a blanket in it, because I've been seeing that dog doing that for months, and it's really bumming me out. Poor pup, he probably has no place to get out of the sun or weather. It's a good thing nothing is real. So here's a strange video. What if I look at the memoir section again? I've been thinking about it. The Prairie Has an Endless Sky is not a memoir. It's a nonfiction kid's book about prairies. But I love the title, and I love that Technicolor cover. It's just so beautiful. I love the sky so much. Or atmosphere. You know, maybe I would have started like a sky worshipping cult if I had lived in Neolithic times. Or just joined an existing one. Great book about the atmosphere, An Ocean of Air by Gabrielle Walker. Readable, accessible. Here's a beautiful library copy. Plasticized. Jacket designed by Will Webb. It's fresh. It's textured. It's got like some bumps. You know, we live in the lower troposphere. It's pretty cool. And I haven't read this one, but I think this is just one of the prettiest books I own. I love this. The Earth and its Atmosphere. I love an old book about a topic I really love. Honestly, I bet books this beautiful will train people to murder. Distinguished scientists present what they found. Awesome. This is beautiful. Inside shit. Flipped it around for a second. Now you've seen me. You know about the hideous deformity. Camera. Okay. 1957. Wow. Maybe I'll start a death cult that worships this book, because it's so pretty. Or we could worship the kitties. All hail, all hail. I think it sounds like you just really want to start a death cult of some sort. But anyway, memoirs. Sorry, we were looking at The Prairie Has an Endless Sky, and it's a beautiful sky. We started talking about the atmosphere. And then I began babbling as if insane. What are our homes for? Why do we decorate things? We're constantly all blurring decoration and art. What is what? I have a really cool idea for like a high concept gallery exhibit. I think it'd be really awesome to take a whole habitation of somebody, every possession, person or a family, and give them each like a little plaque, like a provenance, like a work of art, and fill like a giant warehouse with every wall, just like someone's life totally like deconstructed. You take everything apart and just be like a vase. And that'd be so interesting, and you could structure it in like a really cool way, like so that it kind of mimics space. Because like one of my ancestors in Puritan times in Massachusetts, she left behind a will. And in the will it listed, I guess someone named Pillsbury listed everything she owned and its value. And I quoted all the things she owned. I left out the values when I wrote about it. It seemed cluttery. But I like to think about all these objects like revolving around this person, and I got a sense of this person, like planets around a sun. I keep getting distracted from memoir. Maybe that's how I write memoir too. I'm always like bobbing and weaving around it. That top shelf is what I would call a perfectly shelf-maxed shelf. You really can't fit anything else in there. Maybe if you arrange the very shortest books all together and find a very thin book, yeah, like that, or a little thinner. Just love that look. And then you bring them out fleshing them. So beautiful. It really is a pain to get things out though when they're on the stack underneath something. It does make me sad. Like I need to get this out for the Great Brain video. I don't want to. It's an incredible book, and I say that begrudgingly because things with Mormonism give me PTSD from my childhood. This is about people living in harmony and being good to each other, and a divided community embracing its differences, and about this family of love that's kind of at the center of it. And it's a nonfiction version, a family memoir of this 1800s family in this half Mormon, half Catholic town, and they're Catholic. And the older brother Tom is just this brilliant kid, but he's just so greedy, and he just, all he ever does is con the other kids. And that's what The Great Brain is, that a series that spins off. Love it. Oh, but I think I want to do this video just because I was looking not only at how pretty these shelves are getting. This one I think is shelf max too, almost. It's getting close to it. It's quite full. And that one might be as well. And that's the memoir section. It's just 3 shelves of this case. The rest of it is art crit, lit crit, film crits. Part 1. Part 2's out here. Oh yeah. Long story, and I'm leaving out every detail except one, but my computer was in a hot car for a long time today. And I was so worried I was gonna lose a lot of the book that I've been working on. That computer was hot to the touch. It's okay. A bit like reckoning with my own death, the thought of reckoning with the loss of my work. Ugh. And my book is a giant memoir, so yeah, I'm partial to memoir. Memoir shelf kind of hits different when you walk past it. It's different because this is a collection of people put on the page, and if you've read these, you love these people. You know, like, generally. Also, it's not a purist memoir shelf like here's diaries. Here's a biography, but I just feel like Bosworth shares so much of himself in that. That's the famous one. The guy follows him around his whole life and writes a book about it. This is about the movie The Day After, about a kid that grew up in Lawrence, Kansas, where that movie was filmed, and I bet it will really equate to living in Albuquerque, the most nuclear city in America, and maybe the world. We've got all the nukes. This isn't exactly a memoir. I would call it more autofiction, probably, I think, but it is a memoir. The Man Without Qualities. This is a famous first half of this giant work that this guy, tortured guy, spent his whole life writing. He's just like me for real. To quote the internet meme, oh my gosh, that's me. I spent 15 years now working on my book. I barely read Musil, but I'm like, oh, I just get you. What I've heard, he's like a wreck by the end of his life, and his readers basically support him at the end of his life, so. Come on, readers. Where are my readers? The path I'm on. No, I gotta get off that path. This is a hip-hop show. I'm cool. I'm redeemable. I'm not a lost cause. It was so long ago, you should be embarrassed to have this up. Shh. Silence. The aspect of myself. I love memoirs, and I'm looking for a couple that I thought I had. Where's Another Bullshit Night in Suck City? I think I may have given that away or sold it during the purge. That's a great book. That is by Nick Flynn. And the movie's all right, and it's interesting to see a memoir adapted into a film with De Niro. Great memoir by my advisor, who was advised by William Gass. So William Gass is like my grandfather. Not exactly, but the advisor thing is an important role. This is one of my favorite memoirs, and it was a huge hit, and it's amazing. The Glass Castle. Autobiography of a Face, about a girl, kind of a true story, like Wonder, but about someone real from her perspective. And Lucy Greeley, Autobiography of a Face. Yeah, even the vertical ones are hard to get out in this tight shelf, huh? Maxon. I should put the Pepys. Is it a biography or the diaries? Yeah, that's a biography, and that's the diaries. Okay. So funny. He sees a Midsummer's Night Stream live with Shakespeare's Company, and he's like, that's all right. Big takeaway from that I repeat more than once. Memory. This is probably one of the most ambitious, polished memoirs that there is. And I've read most of it. DNF'd it a couple times, but it's interesting. I don't think I like Nabokov because he criticizes Dostoevsky. I do love his translation of A Hero of Our Time by Lermontov. And yeah, he's a good writer, whatever. I also just, I don't know. Yeah, Lolita was all right. I read that. He was doing something elevated with it. This looks cool. Naturalist. Joan Didion. Everyone's read this except me. I mentioned it in that one. My whole life I've had copies of Death Be Not Proud. That's something you could always say about me. Oh, Mike, he's got a copy of Death Be Not Proud. I bet. Probably 2, but I don't think I've ever read it. Still, they're my best friends. Prison Writings of Peltier. Yeah, this is so indulgent. Oh, look, I like this color-coded part there. I've got a lot of memoirs in this part of the color spectrum. Why not do something with this? And why not put hyperbole and a half in the comics? Because this is a good memoir. I feel like it. Well, I have good memoirs in the comic section. I don't know. I think it's more on the memoir side than the comic side. It uses graphic elements, but it's not like always typical, like with speech bubbles, etc. It livens up the graphic section, as my daughter Anna said. So it's good to be there. This is probably messed up. This will probably make me mad at the author. Never read it though. I've loved H. John Benjamin in more than one show, from Home Movies to Dr. Katz to Bob's Burgers. I think he's funny. And voice acting is a real talent, as the best in the biz reveal it, you know? Actors are just using their voices, but some are just like, they're great. And like, what's his name? John DiMaggio, who voices Jake the dog on Adventure Time and Bender on Futurama. When you listen to him talk on YouTube about his craft and like what he's doing and how he modulates his voice and thinks of his characters, it's the most articulate, like thoughtful, nuanced way. Like, oh, this, yeah, the best at any craft, and not just anyone can do it, you know. These are all things I'm in. That's so great. Oh, this guy, Mark Rudd. I have some crazy anecdotes about Mark Rudd, but that I never tell. But I've hung out with him. He's cool. He was a domestic terrorist in the Weather Underground. Like, he's all, hey, cops that were involved in Kent State, we're blowing up your offices. You know, get out of there. He would do it. The documentary, The Weather Underground, really shows how just like, it was probably like June of 2020, where it just felt like, oh, this nation could go any way right now. Something is brewing right this second. Like a revolutionary fire is in the air. And, yeah, he's interesting. He reminds me of David Brower, that famous Sierra Club leader. I've known Mark Rudd. I mean, he's a teacher at CNM and was friends with my former in-laws, and went out to his ranch in New Mexico one time where all these giant alligator junipers grow. Twice. Talked with him at length at concerts, and yeah, Albuquerque's wild, the people that live here, because eventually those terrorists do their prison time, you know, and they wouldn't use the word terrorist. They were like activists, you know. Hold Still is really, and I think that case can be made, but he's since completely rejected violence, and, you know, I get it. Imagine being a true revolutionary. Like, you would really be hounded to the ends of the earth. This could be very interesting. Should be that. This was so good. I listened to it. Oh, I just got this recently. Mary McCarthy, Memories of a Catholic Girlhood. That's so good. Experimental, startling. Great portrait of the 1920s. She does follow-up chapters where she corrects everything and in the what she wrote before and says what she changed, etc. There's some paperbacks. Maybe all the paperbacks. Trade size that are Memoir. Good selection. Oh, I love paperbacks. They're my favorite. And Memoir is amazing. So maybe one of my favorites. I mean, good memoirs. I reread memoirs like novels. I mean, they're just really, the best memoirs are so good. I've been wanting to reread The Wild Truth by Corinne McCandless. That's such a good book. Here is one of my all-time favorites, Oh, the Glory of It All. Have I read this book 4 or 5 times? Maybe. It's excellent. I listened to it once, but I've read it other times. It's about the richest kid in San Francisco. I should hate this book, but his life is so tumultuous and fascinating and never boring for 1 second. I mean, in my world, this is not only a cult classic, it's a classic. But I don't know if it's a cult classic even. He was David Foster Wallace's editor. The internet seems so quiet about some things. It never got adaptation. People don't seem to know it when I bring it up. I'm like, you don't know this book? Look at its beautiful font. Its cover is kind of famous. Oh, the glory of it all. It's something he used to mutter to himself. This book obsessed me for a while. Infidel. Apparently she became a rather right-leaning politician. But this book's incredible about her childhood and horrifying experiences with everything from female genital mutilation to, you know, being on the run and starving. And this book is an incredible hybrid of photos and so on. Hold Still by Sally Mann. Her subject matter is her family. I find that so interesting. It makes me want to do one where my subject matter is my neighbors. Not neighbors, but like neighborhood. I thought this more back when I lived in the suburbs, because I just think, like, what if you just paid attention to a neighborhood every hour, like Monet looking at the church, you know, like over a lot of time, do the research. I'm going to look at 11 o'clock today. What's going on here? Explore it all, document things in a way, interview people, find the history, because that's an element of it. And just really explore, like, I don't know, what does anything even mean anymore? What is a neighborhood in a suburb, this like artificial thing outside of cities that can only be accessed with burning fossil fuels and vehicles and roads? And suburbs have like a strange, horrifying, fascinating beauty for me. They're like Herzog's Bavaria to me in a way. They're the best at night in lamplight where there's trees growing near it. That's chef's kiss, like the best suburb experience. I don't think that, moths out pollinating the lilacs and Spanish broom in the air around here. Incredible, sweet, earthy plant that is also like a decorative yard plant in Albuquerque. People xeriscaping, natural scaping. Anyway, Memoir. Love it or hate it. Hate to love it, love to hate it. Won't rest until it's dead. People stop writing forever. Man, so I've been working on that memoir 15 years, and one day I saw a YouTube comment and somebody said, hey, remember when people were like into stupid like creative nonfiction memoir books? And they wrote books like that? I was like, great. What every visionary has to know is haters gonna hate. Also, haters make me famous. Oh yeah. Nah, this book's too weird. My keyword in its creation is unignorable. I feel like once it's out, I have a proof of concept book with my cover and everything like that. That's why all its rigmarole. I'm going to be taking this book to like a finished state so that it'll basically be untouched in the editing process too. This is not a first draft. My book will be done when I turn it in. I'll listen to like a few corrections if people find them. That's typos are impossible to get all of. That's really true. You can work on something for 5 years and typos will sneak in. Be like, okay, I have a 500-page miniseries screenplay chapter in my book, the longest chapter in the book, about walking across America. And when I do a Control F search for a left parentheses, there's like 375. And when I do one for the right, there's 374 or something like that. Maybe it was a much lower number, but I've never been able to find where I have the parentheses wrong. I have an open one on the left and not on the right. That should, every writer I've mentioned that to, including Ty, who I think is very scrupulous generally, my Bannerman, my Rata friend, said, who cares? I have a hankering for memoir. I just really do have a fondness for this. And I kind of wish some more things were here that aren't. This was good. I remember really loving that as a kid. Read it a couple times. 3 Came Home, about being in a POW camp. A family friend and someone I've lost touch with, but a great writer and one of my sister's best friends, my sister Leanne, who died, Sejal Shah. It's her cool book. Beautiful essays, many about my sister, actually. Yeah, she's a great writer. Essays are cool. I like that form. Another cool old diary. Oh, it's got a rip in it. Is that from being too tightly packed? Maybe. Maybe it was just there. So beautiful. Here's one written by a great friend that I've also lost touch with. Victoria Merriman, about her biking across the country. But she wrote this book right. She, approached it like a professional. She had previously been a Harvard grad who had created her own web startup company that was really successful for a long time. Digital Loom back in the day. And then I guess that all fell apart with a industry crash and she was left adrift, and so she's like, I'm gonna do this thing. This would make a great movie, Wild, biking across the country, confronting your demons. Very funny too, and full of voice. It's excellent. One of my idols, Julia Butterfly Hill. She's so cool. So I do have idols. One is a golden calf. Sea Monkeys. This book I have because it's a memoir written as a stream of consciousness, like Lynn Higinian's My Life. I think that's cool. And then I thought of this, and then I thought of this. That's a cool, organic way to tell a story, I bet, and I should read it. Also well designed. All right. Memoirs. A memoir can change a person's life, I'm missing a heartbreaking work of staggering genius here because I loaned it to my son. Yeah, that's so good. That's a biography too, but it is a memoir. That's a hybrid work. It's amazing. Stewart of Life Backward. It's one of the best nonfiction books about a life. So powerful. Devastating. Book by a friend. Very cool. So we've gone from Tombstone. I mean, it's a tragic story, but it's a good book. Yeah, Justin St. Germain, growing up in Tombstone, horrifying violence happens to his family, and everyone tries to put it in the historical context, like they're not real people. People say they love memoir, but would they die for memoir? Would. I'm living and dying. And my project is funny because 15 years is too long to write a book like this. It's insane. Ulysses only took 7 years. And so this book has literally destroyed my life and siphoned away my life essence. It's become a facsimile of who I actually am and taken over. It's dangerous in some sense. One time I got a tarot reading from my then wife's friend, and she said, you need to stop writing about your life and start living your life. And I was like, that is the worst advice I've ever heard in my life, because what about the sunken cost argument? Don't call it the sunken cost fallacy. Like, I put 15 years into this thing. To abandon it now would be, frankly, sad. So what if it's taking my life? I'm gonna die anyway and be left a withered husk anyway. I'll just let it do it a little faster, and then I'll get to like live on as this weird kind of postmodern reconstruction in people's minds that is nothing like what actually happened when they imagine it. Maybe some sort of vital essence of who I once was. Probably enough to program some future AI to basically become me like Alan Watts does in that movie Her. All this is leading, we're all just becoming digital avatars in the future. You like that book? If you married it, that's all it was. Everyone thinks Squirrel is cute, but what if I revealed Squirrel was just a toy this whole time? She's been battery controlled. Like Teddy Ruxpin. Maybe if I could just convince people that I could sell, that could be my scam, sell a lot of fake cats, but then just take people's money and flee the country. Like, what did we say about just thinking things and not saying them? The book has been on my to-read list since 1999. In the city, someone would hear me scream. That's when I read the article that became this book, I think. I was like, there was an excerpt from this book about how, like, trying to escape and live as naturally as possible is kind of folly, because everything's nature, really, and we're all just living in beaver dams. All right. Don't forget the channel's motto, and have a great week, you know? If you haven't killed for a book, you don't love books enough. Wait, no, that's not what it was. Honestly, every time I study anything, I ultimately end up at a sort of like nihilistic place, but it's not like bad, it's just blank maybe. Because you're just like, I'm like, no, there is reasons to have book. There are reasons to have books. There is reason, book. Like, honestly, in our day and age when like literal book burnings happen and bannings are happening all the time at different levels, a home library that, you know, can just keep these books surviving intact into the future is a good thing too. I'm doing a service, you know. Don't we wish the Library of Alexandria had kept that? Anyway. The fact is, if someone really like rich and cultured, but like they had just gone through a big life change or something, said to me, Mike, I'll give you X amount of money, like nothing tiny, you know, for your whole collection, including the cases, so that I can have this collection. Everyone would want the cases, but you could have them as part of whatever deals if they were factored in, you know? Like, if someone were to offer me that, if the number was right, like something that was like, you know, actually motivational, like it could help and change my life, I'd honestly get rid of almost all my books in a second. I entertained it last year, and but I'm actually starting to think I'm going to keep growing the collection until I die. And I'm just going to be like a catfish with it and fill all the space there is to fill. And I'm going to do that on a shelf and case level, so like I can only have so many books in one area maybe. I'm going to expand in some significant way. But I'm like seriously thinking about hosting a literary salon at my place. And there are a couple in Albuquerque, and like that's an old tradition, and it's really cool, and it's actually enlivening and awesome. I mean, you know, music is more fun in some ways, but writing has its own appeal. Live readings of it are generally weird, everyone laughing at everything. I'm like, yo, ghouls, why are you laughing at all this stuff? I'm deadly serious. No, something like that. Today there was such rain.